Well, good morning. Today we have Laura Autumn Cox, owner of the UK Eternal Bloom. Good morning, Laura.
Morning, how are you?
Good, thank you. Can you please introduce yourself and the UK Eternal Bloom?
So I'm Laura, as you said, and I have very recently set up Eternal Bloom. I only use the UK for Etsy because it's Eternal Bloom is definitely a couple of words that have been used before by other people. So the UK is just to differentiate it from the US and to make it slightly different. So I'm a 26-year-old writer and I live in Leeds, and I basically set up Eternal Bloom because I absolutely love flowers and bringing the outdoors in. But what I didn't love was cutting flowers and then them inevitably dying. And I remember one day I was out on a walk and I came across this big hydrangea bush that had dried throughout the past couple of months. So it would have been January, February, and it'd been dried by the frost. And I thought, wow, that's gorgeous. I'm going to pick some of those, take them home, and because they kept their colour so naturally, they just looked gorgeous in the house. And I thought, well, I'm going to keep doing this. And then eventually I thought, well, I could get different paints, different sprays, and started to spray them gold. And then so I had all these lovely sort of flower arrangements around my house, and people would always come around and say, oh, that's lovely. Obviously not during the pandemic so much, but if I had some in the background, and I remember sort of showing them to people and them thinking, oh, wow, that's quite nice. And I thought, well, it would let's see if this is something that other people would want to have as well. And also a massive part of that for me was that inevitably if you cut flowers and they die, you then have to cut more. And I'm somebody who I do really care about the environment and about sustainability. And I think that if you can buy a nice arrangement once, you have that for life, then not only are you saving yourself lots of money because you're not then buying £30, £20 flowers every time again, you're also not draining the resources from outside. So it's sort of like one and done, so to speak. And then also it's the whole the water situation as well. So there's another tiny little sustainability angle there as well, because you're not then constantly watering your indoor plants, and they don't need to be looked after at all. So it's easy. So that was the original idea behind it. And I'd also been brought up by parents who were very into nature, and it was quite normal for us to have kind of leaves and pine cones just around the house. a little bit of a hippie there, I guess. So it was quite normal to me to do it. So I thought, well, let's see if I can do this for other people as well, but also keep it really affordable, because I don't know if you know, but flowers can be incredibly expensive.
Yes, quite.
So I wanted to never go above a certain price point, because I want these things to be sustainable for life, but I also don't want them to cost an absolute fortune, because at the end of the day, it's a natural material that it doesn't cost the world for me to go out and get it. So I wouldn't want to put that on the buyer, if that makes sense.
Excellent. Yes, absolutely. I think it's a fantastic idea. And how do you? What are your marketing strategies to increase awareness of Eternal Bloom?
So I started off with Instagram, because I feel like that's the place where my target market is probably most concentrated. So I'm looking at people who kind of, homeowners or people who are kind of renting, who are able to spend a little bit of money on making their house, slightly more beautiful. And there's, I don't know if you're familiar with Instagram, but there are so many sort of home decor pages. And so my strategy is to kind of, just build an awareness of my brand with them, and also influencers. I won't name any for now, but people who are kind of starting from scratch with their own house, and maybe kind of maybe sending them like sample bouquets and saying, what do you think of this? Could you maybe review it? And because I want to get better. But yeah, so it's going to be mainly Instagram based, and I'm also considering using TikTok as well, which is something I'm not really familiar with, but I know it's incredibly popular at the moment. So the idea would be to kind of maybe make some sped up videos of me, like not only going out to get these flowers, but the drying process, and obviously sped up because it takes a long time, and then maybe the decorating process, and then the arrangement process itself, and then perhaps sending them off as well. So So mainly it will be social media, and also talking to people like yourself, actually, and just kind of getting myself into papers and journals if possible.
Absolutely. Hearsay is the best marketing tool. The more people talk about it, the better.
I want it to be organic, in keeping with the brand. To be honest, I know you can pay for advertising, but I obviously that's a last resort, really, isn't it? Like, you want to see if something can get traction.
Absolutely.
For what it is.
So, what would you need to further grow Eternal Bloom as a company?
Basically, I would just need more exposure. Essentially, because at the moment, obviously, it's just me doing it, and one of the limitations I have is stock. Okay. So it's very bespoke, and that's that's a blessing and a curse, because it makes the business incredibly unique. It takes a lot of time to go out and find these flowers, and then the drying process, it then takes additional time, and each one is different. So not only is it me getting more traction and getting more outreach, it's me learning more about what works and how long certain things take. I know how long certain flowers take. I'm not so sure about others. I don't know whether they're going to keep their colour or not. So it's a lot of experimenting. And again, that's why it's so specialist, because there's going to never, ever be one bouquet that's the same. And each one is going to take at least a number of weeks to have prepped.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you very much, Laura. It's been a pleasure to meet you. Mm-hmm. And if you're interested in Laura, please click on her link to know more about her and Eternal Bloom. Thank you.